3, 2, 1, end of test. Team with a go.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Warbird Wednesday. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum, and welcome back to Moi in the flesh. I'm actually alive after 6 weeks of Edwards touring that you were doing. I'm back. Of course, you know, I've done the bizarre headgear again. Kevin has outdone himself. This one actually, I'm surprised you don't put like a house on my head or something. It's crushing my head. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Oh, that's so nice. And toss it off camera. There we go. Good catch there, Kevin. And my Biborgen assistant, I don't know if I got that, but I tried to get close. Today, we are talking about the most produced American heavy bomber ever. Now this is ever, and you can argue with me, but they made, this is the B-24 Liberator. It was produced from 1940 to 1945. They built 18,188 of these things, if you can believe that. Ford built under license 8,685. That stands as a world record. I'm going to go ahead and throw up the plan view, so you get the plan view there. Now this aircraft is interesting in that, my word, interesting, in that it was actually built out of a U.S. Army Air Force request to Consolidated to build the B-17 under license. Consolidated did not like that idea at all. They went back to the drawing board and they basically came up with a prototype of this aircraft. Now this aircraft has what's called the Davis wing. All right, the Davis wing is, it is a, what do I want to say? It is a land-breaking design or a landmark design, but it works really well at higher speeds. When you get to a lower speed with the wing, or you put a lot of weight in the aircraft at higher altitudes, the Davis wing can become a real problem. The other thing about the Davis wing is what, Kevin? What is it? The crews that flew these airplanes said that the Davis wing would not hold enough ice to cool your drink. So that means that icing with the aircraft was a real problem, and you could lose the airplane. The reality of the situation with it, it was very tough to fly. It was harder to fly than the B-17. And again, you can argue with me, all you armchair folks, if you want. Put that in the comments. But a lot of the crews said it was harder to fly. It had a crew of 10, so it was similar to the B-17. But the other thing, it could actually hold 8,000 pounds of bombs. So it carried a lot of payload. It is known for many, many things, and there are so many variants of this airplane that we could be here for an hour going through all the variants, and I only have about 14 to 16 minutes, so we're going to try to get through it. But the aircraft had a ton of variants. I am going to touch on a few today, but before I do that, I am going to go to my salute. Now my salute today, as I said, there are 18,188 of these built. I want to salute those crews because the B-17, everybody loves the B-17. There are not many B-24s that survive. With as prolific as they were when World War II is over. And by the way, that Davis wing was gone at the end of World War II. They never used that design again. It it was because it was such a difficult airplane to fly. And when you hear names like, and I'm going to mispronounce it, but Palesti, low-level raid, things like that, and the deep strikes into Germany, these crews got savaged pretty good. In fact, the air war in Europe has never had the right amount of historical coverage that pays homage to those crews. Think about this. In early, about mid-1943, you did not stand a chance, if you were flying any 8th Air Force bomber, of returning home alive. You would not finish your mission set. Think about that for a second, and let me ask you, how many crews would get in airplanes today for which is basically maybe not that one mission, but you fly 5 missions and you're done. You're shot down, you're killed, you're captured. That's how difficult and how well defended, by the way, the Germans had air defense over Europe. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, the salute. Now, if you survived the war, what did you get to do? You might have driven Route 66. And today, Kevin has, by the way, Greg is now editing. Kevin is my live studio audience. So he's very attentive. He's attentive as Greg is. He hasn't done anything weird yet. He probably will. You know, Greg would show up in a kangaroo suit and things like that. So you never know what Kevin's going to do. But he selected today the Mother Road Black Cherry Route 66. Let's see. It's caffeine free. It doesn't look like this is these guys are members of the Pure Cane Mafia. You know, it's pure cane sugar, but we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. So all of those folks that fought in these B-24s, all those airmen, we salute you. If I can get I got the cap off. And there's some fizz there. So this might not be deadly. Let's see, this first one in 6 weeks. Oh, you are breaking Greg's score of bottling stuff like 400 years ago and serving it to me after it's been resuscitated from a shipwreck. This is good. This is really good. In fact, I don't know, Kevin. You know, we go down like this is supposed to be torture. So, the B-24 was kind of the Homer Simpson of the bomber fleet. There were a ton of them. We talked about the wing. The aircraft was very weak at the wing roots. And what a lot of German fighters would do is German fighters would come in head on at the aircraft, and they're aiming, well, they hit here in the cockpit. Obviously, that's going to be fatal. But the idea was they'd hit these wing roots, and if they could hit the wing roots with the tanks in there and either break the root, the attachment to the fuselage, or get this tank to burn. I don't know, you've seen, there's some famous pictures where basically B-24s would just fold up. The wing here would just basically completely break off. The aircraft also had a number of intriguing missions, and one of them was they flew for the OSS, which is kind of the forerunner to the CIA. They did black programs. The spies were called Joes. They would fly the Joes in and out, and there were a number of them. A number of those aircraft were shot down. The code name for the unit that was doing that was called Carpetbagger. So that's interesting. The Germans had at least three B-24s that they flew on clandestine missions, and that was operated by KG-200. So the Germans managed to rebuild some of these. And the most bizarre use of the B-24 was B-24 landing gear were used in the Ju-287 German jet bomber. They would recover landing gear. So think about that for a second, that the Germans were adaptively reusing American parts for their airplanes. Now, it was end of the war, so they were kind of desperate. I can understand that. But we're getting close to Halloween, and I want to give you my Halloween take on the B-24. I don't know if you believe in, you're watching this, whether you believe in good or bad mojo or stuff like that, or bad energy, but we're going to cover a little bit of that. We're going to talk about Lady Be Good. Ended up in the desert in North Africa in 1943. She was found in 1958. Basically, due to a navigational error, she turned around and didn't realize, and this is the abridged version, that she had flown over her base, flew deeper into the desert to the point where the airplane got low on fuel, and the bomber actually glided in and landed on its belly. So the crew bailed out, they landed in the desert, and they tried to walk out. Nobody made it. One of them has never been found. The other crew members were found over time, which is, can you imagine how difficult that would have been to know you're somewhere? They never went back to the airplane. They tried to, where they bailed out, they tried to walk out of. They were eventually found by an oil surveying crew, and that's who found the airplane. Now, the ooh part of this is, and you can argue with me in the comments. I have read that parts of this airplane were reused, and I have read that parts were not. The aircraft was scavenged quite a bit. The body of the aircraft eventually ended up at a Libyan Air Force museum, which is kind of interesting. But pieces and parts were brought back. Some of them were recycled into aircraft. Now, the parts that were recycled, apparently the airplanes that the parts were put on all had problems and either crashed, and one of them I think it was an Otter, crashed, and the part that washed up on shore, they didn't find most of the airplane, but the part that washed up on shore was an armrest from Lady Be Good. It just wouldn't die. It's kind of like Christine, right? So I don't know whether that's true or not, but it sure makes, I remember seeing a Twilight Zone episode that completely freaked me out. If you were like me, I grew up in Los Angeles, and there was Channel 11 and Channel 9, and they would run like in the afternoon on the weekends, either monster movies or Twilight Zone or whatever. And I remember seeing a Twilight Zone episode that was based loosely on that whole thing, and it absolutely freaked me out. I was freaked out for a whole bunch of times. So there is this kind of scary component around that, but the fleet of B-24s acquitted itself well. They immediately after the war started getting scrapped, and they were just wholesalely put into the scrapper. There are very few B-24s left, which you'd think about how many of them were built. It is very odd that there are few left, but there are not many of the B-24s left. There are a few in a museum here and there. If you get to see one, count yourself lucky, and realize that what I just said, the B-17 is a favored aircraft. People love it. We have two of them here at the museum. One that looks like an F, which is the movie Memphis Belle, and the G model, which is Miss Angela, which is just off to my left here. But realize that you're seeing, after they were mass produced, now a very, very rare aircraft. Now, if you want to be the coolest kid on the block, what I've got here is we have the last Reno Air Race shirt. This is the logo shirt that the crew wore when they were in Reno. We have a limited number of these left. We actually sold them completely out in Reno and made another run, but this is it. If you want one, order it, because they will never be produced again. And then here to my right is the P-63. Our P-63 became a Mustang eater and decided that it was going to win third place in the bronze category in the unlimited last race at Reno, the last unlimited race at Reno, which was so cool. And so it is actually the aircraft, and it's signed by Pat Nightingale. Patrick, how can you get anything that is more cool than that. If you go out to our Facebook page, you can actually watch that race. And if he had had one more lap, he would have gotten the second place airplane as well. The guy was on fire. He beat Spam Can. And so, you know, there's nothing better that I like than Spam and eggs. So to that day, Patrick had himself a little bit of Spam. Now, if you come across us on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. If you know somebody that likes really wacky one-take videos, because that's all we do this in one take, and I try to cover all of it in my little pea brain. But if you like one-take military aircraft videos, forward us on and to other people that might like the channel as well. I think we have like 180 episodes now. There's a lot. You spend a lot of time walking and looking at airplanes and arguing with me whether I'm right from what I'm remembering. But go ahead and subscribe to the channel and forward us. If you are homeschooling the kids or you've got kids in school, there's a link under the video that you can actually download our education guides for free. We want you to do that. They're also available on Amazon for a nominal fee, but if you want to download them, you can get them for free. On Amazon, we just pay for the cost of the printing. They're very inexpensive, but we can get you those guides. Now, we cannot do all this stuff and carry these high quality models and Kevin and Greg and everyone else without your shekels. So if you want to donate, that link down there, you can click on the link, donate a few bucks. We could surely use it. That's how we keep all of these airplanes flying, and we greatly appreciate it. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
3, 2, 1, end of pass. King with a go.
Day, all my fears have gone away. I guess this means I'm here to stay. Yeah, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly. Wasn't long ago I shook at the thought of being hooked, but ever since I wrote my book, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly. Come along and join us, we can plug you in a simulator. We'll teach you how to dance and be the perfect imitator. We'll give away all your music to the operator. We were born with the light to shine, and we can do it in our lifetime. And then we get the balance right. Oh, we're riding on the satellite. Satellite. Down the park, saw them hitting the beat. The sound that emanated, it was really sweet. Told them of a shy young man bitten twice, and gave a little old school good advice. Pretending's not the thing, got to be yourself. Honesty, integrity, happiness and health. Bending to the needs of others ain't the way. Be true to yourself and let the music play. Come along and join us, we can plug you in a simulator. We'll teach you how to dance and be the perfect